We are live. Welcome, 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 welcome
We
to
are alive. I always feel
welcome.
like it's when you
What's that?
say that, I always feel like it's the beginning of a zombie movie or something, you
It's
know. It's
alive.
alive. Frankenstein's monster or something.
Awesome. Well,
Mm.
today we are talking about the neurology of sales. And why is neuroscience important around sales? Because the main reason that it's important and why it's very underutilized by most people is because most people are selling. We've got three brains in our head. We've got the reptilian brain or the lizard brain, we've got the monkey brain, and we've got the human brain. What's the fourth brain?
The comedy brain.
The
Some of us
comedy
are
brain.
born with that and we can't
Some of
help
us
it.
are born with the comedy brain. I think I was born with that brain. So we've got those three brains, and most people are trying to sell to the human brain because
Hmm.
we think that we make decisions logically, but we actually don't. What we really need to be selling to is we need to be selling to the mammal brain. That's the one in the middle. Yeah, the mammalian brain, the animal brain, the monkey brain.
The emotional brain.
Yeah, because we actually buy logic, we buy emotionally, and then we justify it later logically. It was
Yep.
super funny. I was at a Tony Robbins event, and he asked two women. He said, I want." He's like, he looked out in the audience. He said, your purse, that's a Prada. Is that an original Prada?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Bring that on up." And then he looked at another girl. And he's like, "That purse, how much did that purse cost you? I need someone that's purse costs less than $10." Few people raise their hand, and so he picks this lady. She comes up, and he's got both the ladies there, and they're both like super nervous because they're on stage with Tony Robbins, and so they're both like, and he's like, "Well, why did you buy this to the Prada purse? Why did you buy this purse?" And she goes, he's like, "Do you remember where you were?" She said, "Yeah, I was at the airport in London." And he's like, "Okay, and what did you pay for this purse?" She said it was about $6,000, $5,000 to $6,000. And he's like, "Okay, and you remember where you were at when you bought it? And why did you buy it?" She goes, "Well, because it had the right zipper on it, and it holds all my stuff, and it's got a ton of functionality." All right, cool, great. And then the other person who bought the purse for $10 got up and he said, "Do you remember where you were?" She goes, "Yeah, I was in this little town in Africa, and this was a handmade purse by this woman, and it was, less than $10." And she's like, "Okay, and why did you buy it?" She's like, "Well, because it holds my stuff." It holds my stuff, right? But the reality is both purses, they emotionally were connected to those purses. Hers, the person that bought it for under $10, she emotionally made that decision because it was a village in Africa that she really wanted to support. The other woman made that like they both did the same things. They both said they bought it for the same reasons, but one spent $6K, one spent $10.
That's right. We're always buying emotionally. And if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you'll see that there's emotional elements in there. And when you're speaking to those emotional needs, for example, someone might go, "Well, I'm not emotionally buying when I go to the grocery store to pick up the milk and eggs." It's like, yeah, you are. The impulse to go and do that was fear of not having those items at home and the stress that would create for other members of your home. Or you, it was a very small fear, but there was still an emotion driving the action. There's always some emotion. Now, as most people are aware, we typically move away from the fear element 5 to 7 times more than we move towards the pleasure side of the chart. um, so a lot of the time that that concept is partially understood at live events or sales techniques, and they do all these fear tactics to get you to buy right now, not realizing that the other elements also have to be in play for not just a purchase, an unencumbered purchase and a sustaining purchase. When you look at the other elements of the emotional need in the buying behavior of human beings.
Exactly. And what Jamie and I study is like, why do people buy? How do they make the decision? Where does it go? And so um we can also use neuro influencing techniques. Now, these are strategies that leverage the brain's natural responses. So it could include like storytelling techniques that trigger emotional responses or understanding the impact of body language and nonverbal cues, and also incorporating persuasive language patterns that align with how the brain processes information. So what we see a ton of companies do, because we were always kind of digging down at the sales, what we see people do is we literally see people place the sale. We call it placing a sale up the stream. And yeah, it's like instead of placing it down the stream, when you're using these neurology, you're literally placing the sale down the stream with the flow of natural human behavior, making your product or service the next logical thing that they're going to do, the next logical step for them. Like it's just naturally, the next logical step for me to take is to buy your thing, right? And that's placing the sale down the stream in human behavior. But we see most companies place the sale up the stream, making the entire sales team and the entire, like everybody in the company, like paddling up this hard river to try to get up the stream to chase that sale. And you should
A great
never.
analogy of this, and I just thought of it
Okay.
because we just had a fantastic lunch.
We did.
It's kind of like people every day, they have breakfast, later on they have lunch, later on they have dinner. Pretty much everyone around the world does it in that process. And there's foods that you would typically eat for breakfast and drink, such as coffee. And then there's certain other elements that you would have. Yet when these seminar people go to run an event, they go, oh, for this event, we're going to start with dinner and the wine, and we're going to finish with the coffee. We're going to keep lunch where it is. So they do the opposite to human behavior and then use all these linguistics. It's like, well, it's a very inviting dinner for you to savor in the morning. And there mightn't be enough for everyone, so you should get there early. They use all these processes to try and convince you to do dinner first. And people go, oh, okay, well, I feel a little uncomfortable. And as soon as someone feels uncomfortable, they're in high alert. This is in your mammalian brain. They're in high alert for possible harm. That's how we survived. The scaredy cats 2,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, those scaredy cats go, oh, I don't know if I'll do that when I'm going to go home and procreate. And I'm going to send my genes down to 2024 where some weird Australian will be talking about it. I'm going to do that. It's safer. That's how we all ended up here. It's because those that were super concerned about possible harm did less risk. That less risk led to being able to pass on their genetics. Now,
They
that
survived.
means that when,
Those are the ones that survived. Exactly. Keep going.
yeah. So when we create something that triggers a concern or triggers this doesn't feel comfortable, something's awkward, something's not quite right, the brain instantly is looking for what's wrong. And we know that your midbrain is receiving thousands and thousands of bits of information per second. And the cortex nexus, the nucleus in the midbrain there, it actually filters that out to say, what's relevant to my belief? Well, right now, I'm in a belief structure that there could be something wrong. So I'm only going to look for the evidence that is possible harm, possible scam, possible wrong, possible something I don't want. Even though all this other stuff linguistically over here with your NLP is saying, here's all these great stuff, it's being ignored by the midbrain, the emotional brain, that's actually going to make the buying decision because you've created a process that puts the person in concern, looking for harm rather than natural behavior of I'm willing to try that. And that's where you want to look at with your sales. Now, there's two things, and they actually go really well together, that actually stimulate that midbrain into being open and interested to take more actions. One of them is humor, which we chatted about yesterday. The second thing is storytelling.
You mean humor, what we chatted about last week?
Oh, Oh, that's right. You goes over here in America. You do 7 days a week. Gotcha. Yeah, that's probably it's the exchange rate. I understand.
Exactly. Anyway, humor, and we'll dive a little more into humor. What was the second one, Jamie? I'm sorry, I didn't
The
mean to interrupt.
second one is storytelling. The power of storytelling. Amy can tell you more about this. She knows a lot in this area. So do I.
I
Actually, I went to university. I got accepted on scholarship, and I did playwright in university. So I actually did the Academy of Arts, Queensland University of Technology, and triple major in performing arts, playwriting,
It's
stage management,
interesting
a whole
because
lot.
when we talk about storytelling, there's a little something in our brain that goes back to don't tell stories when you were a kid. Like we look at it as lying. But storytelling, the art of storytelling is powerful. And the reason is because that's how we learned. We learned by sitting around the fireplace or sitting around, the house, and our ancestors would tell us stories about, they might tell a story about how our ancestor was picking berries and there was an animal that almost attacked them, and so they were able to, because they stayed aware, they were able to they were able to get away from the animal, where the ancestor listened to that story and now she's out and she hears that noise and went, oh, that's an animal, because she heard the story previously, and now she was able to actually get the animal and use its coat for warmth, right? And be able to survive the night because she listened to the story. And so people survive that listen to stories. And so literally when we start to hear stories, our walls come down and we don't think anyone's selling us anything or trying to persuade us about anything. But storytelling is actually one of the strongest tools that we have for persuasion and sales. And those are the two things. It's humor and storytelling. Those two are incredibly powerful, especially when combined together. They're amazing, right? And so our walls come down and we naturally go, inside when someone's telling a story. Go ahead, Jamie. Dying to say something.
I'm having fun making shapes. That's why telling a humorous story about yourself early on in your pitch creates a lot of connection.
It
It
creates
actually creates confidence in the person looking at you, and you appear more confident.
Yes, and it creates relatability as well.
Yes.
When you can tell a humorous story about yourself and laugh at yourself, then that's going to create relatability as well.
And we all have hundreds and hundreds of stories because every single day there's something silly that happens. When you start to look at the world of the possibility of life is happening for me, something fun is going to take place, you'll see a funny, joyful something.
So I have a really great book recommendation. I'm going to post it here in the chat.
Ooh.
Yeah, hold on a second. It is by Dr. Joey Dispenza. Actually, when we owned a gym up in Washington State, he was the chiropractor in that town. And so we would refer to him. He would refer to us for people that needed extreme weight loss. And a great guy. He's a great guy. He actually
Great guy. Really nice guy.
He taught me how to drink tequila. I never drank before, and he said he was telling me about the health benefits of them. But he's got.
It's always fun to have lunch or dinner with Dr. Joe because you don't just get a meal, you get an understanding of the universe while you're eating. Goes, oh, tell me what. Yeah. I'll have a second dessert. And he goes,
although the night he taught us how to drink tequila, I don't remember going home.
No, I drove.
You drove. You didn't drink.
You got a stronger education than I did.
I did.
I was happy with my limited education. Oh, that's nice. I'm driving, so I'll let Amy have it.
Food was amazing. Oh my God. I don't know if he's married that gal yet, but it was his girlfriend at the time. But oh my God, great cook. Anyway, he's got a great.
But this is a great book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. We were actually hanging out with him when he was when he had just submitted the final copy
for this one. Yeah.
We
actually had lunch with him that day.
Yeah.
Day before. Yeah. So it's a great book. He studies neuroscience as well. And so this book is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. So if you want to tap into your neuroscience around yourself, this is a great recommendation. You can grab it on Walmart or on Amazon. And just full disclosure, if you purchase through those links, anything, we earn a commission on that, and at no extra cost to you. So anyway, just full disclosure. Yeah. And we personally know him. So that's the other disclosure on that, how we're related to that product. But it wasn't sponsored. He's not sponsoring us.
No, I definitely promote his stuff regardless.
I promote his stuff.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, and he's really good. He was very a lot of people don't know is that he was doing a biathlon or triathlon. I think it was a biathlon when he was way young, like in his mid-20s, and he got hit by a truck. And they said that they were going to have to do surgery for him to have limited movement. Like he was basically a paraplegic at this point. But yet he knew that the body is able to heal itself if given the right stimuli. And a lot of that is our beliefs. So he put himself on an inverted bed for most of the day for months on end while he did meditation and visualization of the body repairing itself back. And you see him now, he walks, he runs, everything else. I mean, you wouldn't realize that he was in that kind of horrific situation many years in the past. I myself was told I'd never walk again when I was 11. Yet my focus at that point in time, while I was in traction for 7 months, was playing soccer with my friends. I imagined it, I visualized it, I played it in my head. I did different trick shots and all these different things. So my body was responding to the thoughts I was having. It's very interesting and powerful when you look at what's possible outside of the doctrine of our set of beliefs that we've been raised in as being true. And a lot of these beliefs, right back at the beginning, Amy said something. This is a belief that you're told by parents or out of, oh, don't tell stories. Don't tell stories. And storytelling is connected to lying, where in fact, storytelling is a natural part of our ability to communicate with feeling. Feeling is remembered, words not so much. How you make someone feel, we've heard that many, many times. How you make someone feel, they will remember. Maya Angelou says, it's not what you say, it's not what you did, it's how you made a person feel is what is remembered. So storytelling really connects to that feeling side, and people buy feeling. There's a lot of little nuances you can do to make that better or make it worse. And that's where your NLP and these other tactics or processes fit in that either support a sale or don't support a sale. You know, when you understand the flow, because everything's in flow, that flow of human behavior, the flow of human brainwaves and what they're thinking, what they're observing, and why they're thinking and observing that in any given moment supports the buying decision in the natural process of the product that's downriver, not upriver. Have breakfast, lunch, then dinner. Don't switch it around just because you're doing an event.
I like that. Have breakfast, lunch, then dinner. Don't switch it around just because you're doing an event.
And the dessert is the sale after dinner.
It is. The other thing that I've added in there is a link to book a call with myself or Jamie. If you want to work closer with Jay Souter teaches an entire system on how to sell from stage. Now, this is brilliant. If you have any kind of business or you have any kind of brand or anything, selling one to many is always the way to go, and selling from stage is key. And he has a complete system, and it's awesome. It's content, dynamic delivery times compelling content times you equals a world-class speaker. And we're looking for world-class speakers. So if you want to book a call with us, go ahead and book a call with us. I put that in the link, and I'm throwing it in the links here as well. And yeah, awesome. So any last words, Jamie?
Well, a funny story about my childhood. Okay, so this is what happened. And I was surprised. It was like a really dark night, like so dark that you weren't sure where the land ended and the sky started back in the country town where I grew up, where these crickets were just like echoing, these cicadas at night, chirping away like resonant drum beats inside your head. It was super dark. And oh, we've run out of time. We'll have to share it next week.
I liked where you were going, though. That description. That's part of storytelling, is to tell, show, not tell. So rather than saying it was really dark, saying I could, where the night met the, where the street met the night, like you couldn't see it.
Where the sky met the land, there was total darkness.
Yeah.
You couldn't differentiate.
You
couldn't see your hand in front of your face.
Yeah.
As your feet stumbled across the grass, walking up to a figure that was opening the trunk of their car. And when they opened that trunk, the light was the only source of light that filled that space.
Like rather than saying she was really scared to open the door, I would say something like, as she reached for the door, she could feel her heart race, because who was there to greet her on the other side was about ready to tell her the bad news.
And you can do it in first person as well.
What's that?
I mean, you can say the same thing in first person. My hand trembled and shook, and my breath was short. I couldn't get enough air into my lungs, like someone had squeezed on the plastic bag and tied a rope around it. As I reached for the door handle that just stood in the middle of a wooden panel, beckoning me not to do it.
Yeah.
Because I knew as soon as I turned that knob, the person on the other side had stuff to say I didn't want to hear. My heart shrunk as my hand trembled forward.
Or I could feel my heart in my throat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to swallow past my heart.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Like you want to create imagery that becomes memorable. So it is wonderful. And remember, folks, there's something you can do to be aware of, and that is that out there in the world, every single person is having their own little trouble or their big trouble. Everyone has something that they're working through, some struggle, some trauma. And there's one thing you can do, so simple, so easy, to make the world a better place. It's quite simple as smile. Smiling. Share a smile with a stranger. And if you're adventurous, give them a little wink.